very much for joining us tonight for KTK News at 6. I'm Neal Barton.
And I'm Kaci, Koviak.
Starting off this hour of broadcast tonight with a special half-hour segment. Major decisions are being made right now in our nation's capital this month. Joining us at the desk to discuss some of those hot-button issues is our very own Congressman, Louie Gohmert. Now, the Iran nuclear deal is definitely something, Congressman, that a lot of our viewers, your constituents, are interested in. Recently, the UN just unanimously gave their go-ahead for it, while Congress, the Senate, hasn't even been able to thoroughly dissect what's going on. Can you give us a little bit of background? You say this is a very, very dangerous deal. Can you tell our viewers why you say that?
From what I've seen, there are provisions in there that are exactly opposite of what President Obama said would be in there. He said they would require complete dismantling of all centrifuges that we're spending to move them toward 90% enrichment for uranium, which you need for a bomb. And not only are they not going to dismantle their centrifuges, we're going to allow them to have more advanced centrifuges. They're not going to be able to get in all of the military locations. And I was meeting in Vienna with some of the IAEA inspectors. There are two that are in charge over there. They made clear they hadn't been able to get into military facilities for a long time. That's going to continue under this deal. It is a treaty. It should require 2/3 consent to be ratified by the Senate. The Corker bill was a big mistake, and this has to be stopped. Israel is in so much danger. They are so isolated, and their best friend, the United States, has really turned on them here.
Let me ask you about this. The mainstream media has told you as Republican you're supposed to be against Donald Trump. He's dangerous or whatever. So pretty much, how do we account for this? The White House just came up with this a couple of hours ago. New polls, since he said what he said this weekend, he's up.
Yeah, well, the time that I talked to him was last year. I ran into him when we ended up face to face. He said, "Louie Gohmert, I love you. You're great. You're great. You keep up what you're doing. I love you. You're great." Now, how do I dislike a guy that keeps telling me I'm great? I'm great. But anyway, he didn't say I'm fired. He said you're great. So anyway, he shouldn't have really dissed anybody that is a war veteran, somebody that, I mean, I was in the Army 4 years. We never had combat in my 4 years. But I know the people that have served, whether they were captured or not, deserve our admiration, respect. So that was a mistake. But just because McCain was a war hero, his 2 years in a Vietnamese hospital, 3 years in the Hanoi Hilton, you have to respect that. Yeah. No, he goes into the Senate and he's done so much damage that's undone his image as a war hero. I mean, he was for the wrong side in Syria. He was for the Muslim Brother President Morsi, who was taking the power away. He's been for the wrong people so many times. He said Obama would be a great president. It's just not happening.
Now, let us talk a little bit about immigration. That is definitely a hot button issue here in Texas. Recently, I know you posted this to your Facebook, a new study that showed that roughly 400,000 illegal immigrants per year under the Obama administration have crossed into America. What do you think our country needs to do? Do you think the states need to be doing more? Do you think the power needs to go to the states? The nation needs to be doing more? What do you think needs to happen?
Well, and that's one issue I'm glad Donald Trump has brought up. Anybody, especially in East Texas, knows Hispanics are not our enemy. I mean, you see most have a faith in God, a devotion to family, hard work ethic. Those are the things that made America great. We need more of that, but we need to have people legally, and you don't see us letting in a lot of Christian refugees, even though they're being persecuted more than any other group, any other time in the world, and yet we're letting in Somalis, the highest risk for being radicalized. We're letting in a vast number of Muslims every year, even more than we ever have been, and it's amazing, though. We've let in 2.5 million people since President Obama Obama has been president, we let them in illegally. So it's time to secure the border. And I know some people want to talk amnesty. I say we should not even mention that word until the border's secure. Then we can work out what we do with people that are here. But until that happens, we become a lure for people to come in illegally.
Let's talk about the Supreme Court. You're a judge. First of all, Bush beats Gore a long time ago. Liberals howl and say, you know what, lifetime appointments, this is all being politicized. But now you had the gay marriage thing a couple of weeks ago, as well as Obama, whatever. To many people, looks like they're legislating for the bench. Is it time to even look at no more lifetime appointments? Because you have two Supreme Court judges who did the gay marriage, two of them did. Under law, or at least what they're supposed to do, they're supposed to recuse themselves. They did not.
Yep, 28 U.S. Code 455. This isn't like a maybe situation. The law says they shall disqualify themselves if their impartiality might reasonably be questioned. There was no question they were not impartial. They had to disqualify themselves. They didn't. You've been covering the courts here when I was a judge here, or Chief Justice. I mean, judges do that routinely here. If their impartiality might be, sure, you know, if they have an interest and their impartiality might be questioned, constantly people will recuse themselves. They should have. That's an illegal opinion, and they were also violating the Constitution. There's in there about marriage. They had no right to legislate on that. As you know, I left the bench because I wanted to legislate and knew you couldn't from the bench. And that's why I'm in the legislature now, so I can. And now we got the court legislating.
And we do appreciate what you're doing. Now, on a more somber note, Congressman, we lost 5 servicemen recently. And it's just devastating. Everyone has seen this, the recruiting office front, the riddled glass bullet holes, and then that sticker, that gun-free zone. Recently, Governor Abbott, just today, he is deciding to arm our our guards here on our military bases. What do you say about that? What are your thoughts?
I say what so many of my colleagues in Congress from other states say is, gosh, you know, if you guys in Texas ever pull out, we want to go with you. You got so much common sense. I said, we have no plans to pull out. You know, we're here, but that's the kind of common sense I would expect. And it breaks my heart that the head of the military today has said our recruiters will not be allowed to carry weapons, but they will need, in some locations, not to wear their uniform.
That's insane.
How do you recruit if you're not wearing a uniform?
Right.
Somebody at every location where military is located needs to be armed. And we've got a bill that we're working on. Oh, I was glad to hear John McCain say we needed to do something about that, because I tried to get a whole slew of senators to push an amendment that we got through in the House to allow them to arm, and no senator would bring that amendment. It's now in conference committee. We're hoping we'll give them that right.
So you're flying back tonight. Give us a quick recap. What's coming up for you this week?
Well, I hope that we're going to do something about Iran. I have some concerns that this is going to be a week that we don't do a lot that's memorable. We have got to.
Wow. Right. Well, Congressman Louie Gohmert, thank you so much for joining us. It's our pleasure.
Come back and stay an hour. We'll do. All right? Let me find me the camera right here. Once again, you can watch a recap of this evening's discussion with Congressman Gohmert. Log on to our website, myeasttex.com.